So next, we're going to cover the different tools and orient you around what the tools are, what you can use them for, and the shortcuts that you'll be able to use as well, and flip between the different things. So back in the file, we'll start from left to right here in the top bar. So the default tool that you'll have is the pointer tool. So if you have a few different things, the pointer tool is good to just drag things around. And the shortcut for that is V. So the way I remember it is the letter V is quite pointy, so you can use that to point around. Below that is the scale tool. So it took me a while to discover this, but the scale tool is actually really quite cool. So K is a shortcut, or you can click using the toolbar in the top left. And this is quite new actually. This is quite recent. This wasn't here before, and you can scale by factors that you want to scale by. So the default is from the bottom left, I believe. So if I do ×2, you can see it's grown from the bottom left corner. You can also grow from the center. So if I do ×2 again, you can see it now overlaps that square to the left of this one. So that's the scale tool, and you can also click on things and just click and drag as you please. You can also scale. It scales in proportion, actually, I think is what I'm trying to say. So you shouldn't have to worry too much about getting that the right kind of size. If you swap back to the pointer tool, you can then change the shape as you might expect. Next, we've got the frames, sections, and slice. So frames are your bread and butter, so we'll cover those in the next module, but this is how you stitch together your different prototypes, and you can work on frame nesting. And when you use the frame tool, you also get some presets. So it is pretty cool that you can use things like the Apple Watch preset, or you can use other things and say, actually, I've got a MacBook Air, and I want to create a prototype based off that screen size. So that's very handy. What you can use as well here is the section tool. So the shortcut is Shift S, and the section is quite good for putting your things together. So you'll be able to organize your stuff all together and drag things left and right. So that's quite cool. Let's get rid of that. Next, we have the shape tools. So the default is the rectangle. So as you saw up there, if I use R, I can draw a rectangle and customize it over onto the right. I've also got the line tool and the arrow tool. So I can use L for drawing a line, or I can use Shift L to draw an arrow. I can use O for, it's the ellipse tool, but I remember it as O for oval. So if I drag it, it doesn't maintain any aspect ratio. If I hold down Shift, it's going to be exactly square. So that's quite good for creating like oval shapes and doing things like avatars or some icons. You've also got these other tool things, the polygon and the star. So star is pretty much by default. You just create a star icon as you like. And you've also got the polygon. So by default, that's a triangle, but in the next module, I'll actually cover how to edit this and some in-depth stuff about editing shapes. You've also got place image or video, and I don't normally use that. I actually drag straight from the desktop or from my file browser, and I find that much easier. Next, we have the pen and pencil tool. So I don't use the pen tool so much because it's dot to dot, which is okay. But what I've used more often is the pencil tool. So I might use that to annotate things and say, this is my polygon and this is a star. So I find the pencil tool is quite good, and that works on iPad as well and tablet. So that's quite good if you just want to sketch down something or do some annotation and design critique. You've got the text layer, so you can create text layers and add in your text into your designs and prototypes. You've got the resources, so that covers your components, plugins, and your widgets, so that's quite helpful. Then you've got the hand tool. So what you may have noticed is that I've been dragging around whenever I wanted to browse. There's a direct hand tool, but you can also middle click and use that to move around your file. And finally, we have the comments. So I can press C for comment and say, this is a text layer. And there you have it. That's all the tools that you have to work with.